Am I the a-hole for giving my stepson a 20-minute time limit to return my car before I phoned the police? Plus update. Original post. This happened last night and I'm extremely annoyed. I am a 34 female doctor and part of my job entails being on call for 1 to 3 nights a week, twice a month. My fiancé Dale, 30 male, has been saving with my stepson's mom to buy him a car for Christmas. My stepson Rex, 16 male, has a license already but always has to borrow his mom's station wagon or his dad's beat-up pickup truck. His mom's car is lame and embarrassing and his dad's can only hold 1 passenger. Not practical for a teen. On to the main conflict. Rex texted me yesterday around 12 if he could borrow my car after school. His friends wanted to go to the mall but the bus route is too long, so could they borrow my car? I texted back a, "Sorry but no, I'm on call again. Can you ask your mom?" He says no. I told him, "Sorry, but my answer is still no. I'm sure you will find a solution. Ask your friends and you can all figure it out." If you see where this is going, you are less shocked than I am. I was up in my home office, the room where I keep my switch, sewing machine, and laptop, so not an official office, when I heard Rex and his friends downstairs after school. I was going to see if they needed anything, but they left after a few minutes. An hour later, I went to the kitchen, cleaning up the empty bottles and wrappers from their snacks. Then I saw the spot where I left my keys empty. I began to panic. First, I bolted to the door and my car was gone. Immediately dialed my stepson. He picks up and it's obvious he's in a mall store that plays loud music. I told him to get himself home now, and he laughed and said that I am not his mom, that he'll be home whenever he pleases. I'm not proud, but I told him that he has 20 minutes to get home or I'll call the police and report it stolen. Rex panics and said he couldn't find all his friends and drive home in 20 minutes. Told him tough luck. 10 minutes later, I get a text that he is in a mall parking lot and will be home soon. I phoned Rex's mom and informed her of his stunt. She was madder than me when I told her that I was on call. She apologized and promised to talk with Rex and Dale ASAP. Then Rex came in, threw me my keys and locked himself in his room. Dale finally came home around 8 and he said he had been on the phone with his ex. He demanded to know why I punished his son. I put my foot down and explained I am on call. That means I need my car. And Rex stole my car. Dale disagrees. His ex agrees with me and decided she will not be buying Rex a car anytime soon due to his entitlement. Dale thinks I am making a big deal out of nothing. I didn't end up going into work, so why did I have to threaten Rex? I've only gone in twice this year while on call. But just because nothing happens doesn't mean that I'm always clear. Rex is now grounded. Fiancé barely speaks to me but asks me when I'm going in today. I'm not, and if I will apologize. I am still not budging and I'm still angry he doesn't get it. Am I the a-hole? Editing because it came up in the comments. Yes, Dale was 14 when Rex was born. Don't get hung up on this. It isn't about teen parents. Rex's mom was 15 when they had him and is the best mom if you ask me. She's who introduced me to Dale. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Rex took your car even after you said no, and Dale is okay with that? Teenagers need boundaries and rules, and parents need to enforce those. Dale is the a-hole and is setting Rex up to be one too. Rex owes you an apology, not the other way around. He demanded to know why I punished his son. Agreed that Dale is the a-hole while Opie's not the a-hole. Opie didn't even punish his kid. She simply demanded that he return the property that he stole. The son rudely refused, so Opie had no choice but to let him know that there would be consequences for his actions if he didn't return the car. Dale's completely off base if he thinks his son did nothing wrong, and that Opie should apologize. Even the ex thinks he is being 100% unreasonable. What would Opie even be apologizing for? Opie's fiancé is just telling his son that he co-signs his theft/disrespect of Opie. It's like he thinks that just because Opie didn't end up having to go in it should be okay for this kid to commit grand theft auto? Clearly, he has little respect for how being in an on-call job works. Not the a-hole. Your stepson is clearly entitled because he did steal your car. He even had another option, but it wasn't cool enough? Anything so little of you, it wasn't even of consequence in his mind to take your car and then throw the keys at you afterward. The threat of calling the cops was a perfect response because it seemed to be the first time he was shown that his actions have consequences. Your fiancé? That's even worse. He damn well knows better what an on-call is. And regardless of that, you saying no means no. Why is not a question. If you don't want him to take your car, he should respect that. Your fiancé playing this off is a huge problem because it excuses your stepson's behavior. This is a relationship-ending problem. Do not budge though, or his behavior will get worse. I got my driver's license before all of my friends in high school. My mom graciously let me drive her minivan most times after I asked. At first, I was embarrassed because it was a big, bulky Toyota Sienna, but my friends didn't care. It just means that more people could ride. It also helped that the stereo system had amazing bass. WTF? Your fiancé is a walking red flag. He's a terrible parent and he doesn't even realize it. Stealing a car is a big deal. This is not a gray area. No offense, but you're a doctor. You have your act together. You can do better than a man who expects you to apologize when his son commits a felony. Life is too short to be married to a crappy parent. I won't even date someone who doesn't raise a dog up to a certain standards, much less a parent of a human being. This isn't a harmless prank either. Even if OP was a stay-at-home mom, taking a vehicle without permission is at least a $10,000 to $25,000 item that they may not want a potentially uninsured teenager driving. Some people aren't even comfortable letting their friends drive their vehicles. The entitlement this teen has could ruin his own life. I'm military, and a lot of the senior generation NCOs who were teens in the 80s committed crimes like this and were given an option: lengthy jail sentence or serve a stint in the Army. My favorite master surgeon stole a car at 18 and chose the Army. He now has a daughter graduated from West Point, and he retired to work at Raytheon on top secret missile projects. Kids these days aren't given second chances like this anymore. It could stay with him forever. Edit/update. Now I can see why my friend told me this sub can be a little much. I'm very thankful for these responses, but I think I'm going to leave the comments now and have a very frank discussion with Dale tonight. Rex is with his mom, so he won't be in the middle or get involved. Kids still wouldn't look at me and called me a witch who won't let him get his own car now. Now for the full update. So apparently Dale reads through this subreddit on his work breaks. He texted me a link to my post during his dinner break. A short time later, I first received a call from Rex's mom who said that Dale called her and ranted about how I made him look bad online. She told him that she didn't care because he did not react the way a good parent should. Dale was so furious that he told her that he would be calling his mother to see if someone actually cared about his feelings. Dale's mother handed his butt back to him good and reiterated to Dale that he was not an active part in his son's life until he was 6, so he has no leg to stand on. Dale tried to complain about how everyone was being unfair to him. She shut him up and told him that his son did something wrong, and this is not about punishing him for being a bad father. Dale returned home a little while ago, about an hour earlier than he usually does. He looked defeated, but he was still short with me. Said he was disappointed that I posted and now everyone who knows will think he's a joke and a bad father. I didn't think this conversation would end up with my ending the engagement and relationship, but it did. The house is all in my name, so Dale is packing up his things and crawling back to his mom's house. The wedding wasn't set, so no money or time lost there. Dale said so many things that I don't even want to write down. This is not the man who I have known for 4 years, and I'm honestly shocked at how selfish he is. He said my doctor money would have to buy Rex a car to make up for all the hard feelings. I am astonished at how delusional he is. I am done with his account and will not be returning. Added to add that also, the fact he wasn't in Rex's life till age 6 was a huge red flag to me. He never mentioned it and refused to admit it was a big deal during the argument we had when he came home. Sending internet hugs, OP. Sorry for something so important to end over something so stupid and ridiculous. At least it showed you before you were too committed what you were getting into. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my car back, causing my sister to lose her job? In January, my sister Jan, 28, had her car broke down and had to be scrapped. My sister works an hour's drive away from her apartment, and there are no public transit options to get her to and from work. She was denied a car loan for bad credit, along with not being able to afford to put any money down, and things were looking pretty dire. I'm the only person in the family with good enough credit to get a decent car loan, so my parents talked me into taking the loan out and registering the car under my name. The deal was that Jan would give me the money to pay for everything: insurance, monthly payments, etc. And when the car was paid off, I would transfer the title to my sister. This has been the biggest headache. Jan has gone months without paying me at all, and when she does, she is always short and making excuses. The truth is, I'm essentially paying for the car plus insurance for my sister, with a promise of reimbursement. My parents have also promised to make up the difference at some point, but I doubt that will happen. It has been 2 months since Jan has paid me, and it is again looking like I will have to pay this month's payment out of my own pocket. I am so sick of this, and told Jan last week that I want to be paid in full by that Friday or I would be taking the car and selling it. She just disingenuously apologized and promised super seriously to have the money to me that week. Friday rolled around and she had ignored all my texts and calls. I had my girlfriend drive me out to her apartment, but I told her to hand the keys to the car over or I would call the police and report it stolen. The car is legally my property and I'm done paying out of pocket so she can have a car. She told me she had shifts all weekend and that she would be fired if she could not go. I told her I don't care, and then she threatened to sue me. In the end, I got the car and listed it over the weekend. Jan lost her job last night for not showing 3 days in a row. The fact my parents or some other person could not drive her to work seems to escape her, as she and my parents have branded me the biggest a-hole on the planet. Now for the top comments. She wasn't even trying to make an effort to pay you back. It's your car, not the a-hole. I don't get these kinds of people. What do they honestly expect from people doing them ridiculously huge favors? If someone did something like that for me, I can't imagine just ghosting them and going so long without a payment. Even if I was legitimately strapped for cash, I would pay whatever pathetic sum I could. Even if I keep on getting more and more behind, I can at least show my genuine desire to pay and appreciate the favor done for me. The answer is they are a-holes and they think everyone would screw them over like they screw people over. So they have zero issues with it. Not the a-hole. Driving an hour each way for work costs a lot of money, no matter how fuel efficient the car is. If, after 6 months, your sister couldn't make this pay, perhaps she either needed to move closer to work or find a job closer to home. In any case, it wasn't up to you to subsidize her attempt. And if you took the car back Friday and she didn't get your parents to pay you something that night, well, it sounds like maybe they weren't as upset about this as they claim. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not honoring all of her wishes? Backstory. My husband and I separated 2 years ago. At first, we hated each other. It got better this past year. We spoke, we're friends, we both still loved each other. He passed on September 15th. As his wife, no one would speak to his girlfriend. We'll call her Avery. She called me, upset that no one would speak to her. Coroner, police, no one. After speaking to the coroner, I can understand why she doesn't want me to be the one in charge. Avery has given 2 separate stories regarding his passing. This is also the second time she has went through this exact same situation. 3 years ago with her deceased husband and now mine. So I'm already on edge. I've spoken to his, we will call him Landon, family, and they don't know her really and have only spoken to her via Facebook/FaceTime. They do not get along very well and she hasn't really wanted to get to know them. I don't know much about Avery, just what I've been able to learn in the past 4 days in speaking with her. I know she's hurting. I know she's grieving. I'm taking this a lot harder than I thought I would be, and maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. I'm not sure how to handle this. Avery's mother called me the day I found out about Landon's death and asked me to check my life insurance policy and make sure it would still pay even without the cause of death. This was before the coroner gave a reason and before he even mentioned the life insurance. The DC says, unknown pending investigation, or something to that effect. I don't have it yet. She's trying to push us all out of every aspect of his memorial, even though I'm paying for it. I dropped the policy after a year and is going against Landon's wishes. He didn't want a burial, but a cremation and a small memorial then mixed with his parents. Avery sent a message yesterday asking me to see if the morgue would give me Landon's thumbprint. She wouldn't give a reason. She wants to have the memorial at her church with only pictures of the 2 of them, not his family or me and him. I can understand, but didn't understand why his family and friends would be there since she doesn't know them. She wants me to ask for a lock of his hair. She wants to display his ashes in the same Amish box that her husband was in. I said no. I think that's just distasteful. Now I'm being called and messaged by her family and her, saying how I'm trying to take over and that I shouldn't have a say in any of this. I'm not. I did ask for her input and help. I countered with the fact that I'm paying for it all and that I am still his wife and have a 20-year history with Landon. They argued that this wasn't about me. It's not. It's about Landon. But it's about Avery and Landon. Their life together, 1 year, and have nothing to do with it. And that they don't know why I'm so upset over him passing or being involved. And I'm an a-hole for not honoring Avery's wishes and letting her have what she wants for her boyfriend. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Now for the top comments. She had a previous husband die in a similar way. There's a pending investigation on your late husband's death. She's given 2 different stories. Inquiring about life insurance policy. Maybe I just watched too much true crime, but this sounds suspicious as heck. It's not just you. It sounds very suspicious to me as well, and to his family. We think this is one of the reasons she's trying to push us completely out of everything. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but Avery has no standing here. She can grieve him privately, but she's out of line for trying to claim his remains and co-opt his memorial. The entire story sounds sketchy AF. And while you skirt around it, is there an implication she could be involved in his passing? Honestly, block this woman. Don't talk to her at all. And if she has questions about his estate, refer her to your lawyer. You knew Landon for decades. You still are in contact with his family. You are the ones who should be planning whatever comes next. The entire story sounds sketchy AF, and while you skirt around it, is there an implication she could be involved in his passing? To answer directly, yes, I believe so. Avery gave 2 accounts of what happened. To the deputy coroner, she said that they arrived at her mom's house at 3 a.m. and Landon went to bed. She stated that she left at 6 a.m., came back at 10 a.m. and found him in the same position and discovered he had passed. To me, they got to the home at midnight, stayed up talking to her mom. They went to bed at 3 a.m. and when she woke up at 10 a.m., she found him deceased beside her. The deputy coroner also told me that they found at least 10 different IDs, social security cards and bank cards, on him in his pockets when they got there. I know this man. He always emptied his pockets before he went to sleep, and would put his wallet and anything he had in his pockets, except for his phone, in his slippers or shoes. He did this every night, no matter where we were. Am I the a-hole for not telling my husband he smells sooner and ruining a friend's wedding? This week was the wedding of 2 of my husband's 33 male and my 31 female longtime friends. For some background, recently we've been having some issues. I told him I needed some space, so we agreed he should move back in with his mom temporarily. I wasn't thrilled about this because she tends to baby him, though I had to accept it as he had nowhere else to go and I wanted him out of the house. I wonder what to do about the wedding. We talked and decided it would be best for us to go together and for him to move back home afterwards. He didn't have time before the wedding to pack his things up, and so got ready at his mom's while I got ready at home and we planned to meet there. When he arrived, I was already chatting with friends. He came over to us and immediately I noticed his rotten stench on him. He smelled like he'd been dumpster diving. It made my eyes water a little. I noticed our friends noticing, but he was completely oblivious and kept on chatting. I tried to let him know discreetly, but he was not getting the hint at all. We took our seats in the chapel and the service was beautiful. By this point, my nose had pretty much tuned out the smell, but it was clearly affecting other people and I still hadn't had a chance to let him know. After the service, I saw an old girlfriend I hadn't seen in years and wanted to catch up. Apparently, while I was chatting with her, a friend had pulled hubby aside and basically told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car, we argued, and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that in front of friends, and I was probably laughing behind his back. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. Usually he'll come in when I'm in. I was speechless and said nothing the entire car ride home while he berated me. This morning I checked my phone, and we have both been removed from a number of group chats that included friends that went to the wedding. I heard through some friends that the bride feels we ruined her day, as more people were talking about my husband than we thought, and she no longer wants to speak with us. I'm shocked and really hurt by this, and have been feeling guilty all day. I didn't want to embarrass him by letting him know when other people were around, but now I've costed him friends and feel like I handled it all horribly. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car we argued and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that. Strong opening. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. There it is. I'm gonna go not the a-hole. Your husband is the one who ruined their day by showing up smelling like a whale carcass. You could have said something. You did not. From his reaction, I'd bet he'd be mad either way, telling him or not telling him. And honestly, he should be embarrassed. He is a grown man, living with his mom, who still requires his wife to call him daily to remind him to shower. Nope. A 33-year-old man has to be reminded to shower? Leave him with his mom. He evidently needs a little more help from mom in being a grown-up. Not stay home. Seriously, I can't believe he pulled that nonsense on Opie, and she didn't kick him out permanently. Did his mommy need to remind him to shower every day before he moved out of home? Did past roommates need to check his hygiene before he left the house? My teenage stepbrother has autism, and even he remembers to shower daily and wear deodorant. And if he couldn't smell the rotting stench coming off him while everyone else could, then clearly he is too used to his own nasty scent. Vomit. I think Opie needs space from her partner permanently. Send him back to mommy. Not stay home, but your husband is. You want to stay married to this poor excuse of a man? Seriously? No one, and I mean literally no one, should have to tell their spouse to shower. Being forgetful is no excuse for poor hygiene. Does he not have a nose? Is he incapable of smelling or even feeling the filth on his body? The fact that he berates you and puts this entire situation on you would be enough for me to make the separation official. This is appalling behavior. Also, he obviously knew what day it was. He had to dress up and prepare for the occasion. Who doesn't shower before going to a wedding? Look, I've been known to push my luck in terms of time between showers. I'm gross, I admit it. But I would never, ever go to a special event without showering that day. Ideally, pretty much immediately before going, so I can be as clean and fresh as possible. This guy must have some executive functioning issues to not shower before dressing up for a wedding. Which, okay, everyone's got their issues, but he's a total a-hole for blaming his wife for it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blocking access to my food and threatening no help with accommodation? I, 22 male, am in my first serious relationship with Hannah, 25 female. We have been together just under a year. She moved into my place 3 months ago. Everything was fine in the beginning, but once we started seeing each other more frequently, I noticed her bad habit. Every time we went out and food was involved, she would sample my food before I got to it. We are not just talking of a chip here and there for my chip butt sandwich. In actual classy places, she would take the first chunk of my steak/salmon/cake. You name it, she would take the first bite. I had several talks with her about this, but she said it was cute and not sinister. 4 months ago, Hannah got a job with training opportunity. After completion, when she returns to her normal place, the salary will be higher. My place is 40 minutes closer than where she used to live, and I offered her to live with me rent-free if she stopped this behavior. The first month, she stuck to our agreement. The second month, she slipped up a few times. This last month, she has gone back to her old ways. And last weekend was the turning point. I bake, it's a hobby, and I made a cake. After dividing it into 8, I left it in the fridge while I went out with a friend. Usually, when I bake and friends drop me off, I will fetch a few slices and thank them for the lift home with the cake. Imagine my surprise when I saw that each piece had a bite taken. I phoned my friend that I owed him cake and he need not wait for me to come back down. I was angry. I told her that she embarrassed me and we needed to figure out a solution. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much. That all women do this, and guys love it. I made it very clear that she needed to stop now, or there would be consequences. Next day, I bought a lockbox for the fridge. She was livid, but couldn't do much. Last night, she broke the lock and had taken a bite out all of my snacks and 2 slices of baguettes in there. I told her to pack her stuff and leave, while I stay with my mother for a few hours. She called me an a-hole for making her homeless and possibly ruining her employment opportunities. Guys, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Also, major red flags here. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much. That all women do this and guys love it. Nope, they don't. This is very weird behavior. She's ignoring your boundaries and then she's using your inexperience against you to manipulate you into thinking this is normal. This is not a person who is acting in good faith here. This is a woman who is trying to use your inexperience and things like societal pressure on women regarding food to make you think your very normal boundaries and emotional reaction to your boundaries being crossed is incorrect. She's trying to get you to doubt yourself, your ability to set boundaries, and your emotional reactions. This person is bad news. Get away from her. It's super weird. The only time I taste my boyfriend's food is if he offers it to me. Honestly, I expect my partners will be taking bites of my food. I'm a chef. I love to cook, I love to eat, and I love to share food experiences. I understand I may be in the minority with this. That said, you can get out of here if you think you're getting the first, second, or even third bite of my food. I need a minute to enjoy it. Try to play it as it's meant. This behavior from Opie's girlfriend is beyond bizarre. It's super controlling. It feels like she's marking her territory. That is not cute. And the fact that she thinks it is shows complete immaturity. Taking a bite out of every slice of a cake doesn't show love. It shows selfishness because nobody else can have a piece. She will likely be a controlling, possessive partner as time goes on. And you'd be so much better off not just kicking her out, but ending the relationship as well. Not day home. It shows I'm possessive of you and your stuff and ruining it for everyone else. She's bad news. Get her out ASAP. And don't leave her alone in there. Also, change the locks ASAP. That possessive behavior can easily turn dangerous. If possible, have a camera pointed at your car. I have a bad feeling she's going to mess with it too. Not the a-hole. I'm a woman and I can confirm that neither I nor any other woman I have ever met does this. It is not a thing that women do. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making my mom cry and hurting her marriage? Background. My mom has me, 16 female, and my brothers Nico, 17 male, and Shay, 18 male with our dad. He died on my 5th birthday really suddenly. Mom was young and had the 3 of us, and she ended up meeting our stepdad less than a year later. I think it was about 2 years after my dad died that she introduced him to us as her boyfriend, and they married fast after that. At the time, Mom and my stepdad wanted him to adopt us and to change our last names to his, so we could be a legal family and share a family name. We had said no, but they went through the process for the adoption, and when it came time for court, the judge took us aside and we spoke to him and expressed that we did not want to be adopted or have our last name changed. It's not something I remember the best because at the time I was really upset, but the end result was the judge turned down the adoption request and the change of name request. My grandma said that the judge told my mom and stepdad that he didn't want to leave us feeling even more robbed of our dad by taking away his name and his ties to us legally. After that, my stepdad tried so hard to get us to start calling him dad. He always called us his kids, his daughters/sons, etc. But he made for a real emphasis on how much he wanted to be our dad and how he wanted to feel us accept him in that kind of way. Mom would sit and tell us how we were blessed to have 2 dads, one in heaven who looked down on us, and one who was with us on earth and could raise us and be the parent we needed. She said it would be such a positive thing to embrace him as our dad. My brothers and I never did call him dad. Mom had more kids with our stepdad, and they call him dad, but it was always a problem that we didn't. My oldest brother graduated last year and he moved out soon after. He graduated early, and there were some things that went down which resulted in Mom and stepdad bringing Nico and me to therapy with them. 4 weeks ago during therapy, my mom and stepdad brought up how tired he is of feeling like he raised us for nothing because we never show him the love he believes he deserves, and we don't show him the respect he wants by denying him the title of dad. They said he is very close to leaving. So Mom asked if either of us would consider trying to be more open to the idea. Would we at least refer to him as dad to others even if we don't call him dad to his face? I said I would never be okay with that. My brother too. Mom cried and my stepdad, well, I think that was a breaking point for him. It feels like their marriage is all but over. And deep down, I know both of them blame me and my brothers. I hate seeing Mom so upset. And my stepdad can't hide the fact he's angry with us over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They tried to force the adoption down your throats when none of you wanted it. And now he says this is a deal breaker for the marriage? If that's true, he never really wanted a marriage. He just wanted to be a dad. Which, considering they had kids together, he is. And if he considers leaving because his stepchildren aren't calling him dad while his real children do, I don't know. He seems weird. It sounds like it's just about control. He doesn't like that the older kids won't comply with his demand. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting someone off financially because they were acting entitled? Plus little update. I, 25 female, have an average paying job, doing body piercing, so earn enough to live off. My friend Lottie, 24 female, who I had been friends with since I was little, did not come from a financially fortunate family and has no job. Extra info? No disabilities, mental disorders, or anything at all to stop her working. Plus, she has a public transport pass. So ever since I got a job at 16 years old, I supported her financially, treating her to meals and trying to help her avoid takeaways for her well-being. I even paid clothes for her. And when she was 18, I paid for 1/4 of her apartment rent and hair salon appointments. Keep in mind, she is on government benefits. This continued, which is absolutely fine, and she always told me she liked the unemployed life as the reason she didn't work. All was okay, until I officially started making more money at 21 years old. I began treating her to more designer clothes and shoes, but nothing like Gucci or Chanel, as a treat for being a good friend. She began to meet a few friends, whom of which never knew her financial situation, I presume, and would only wear her best designer clothes around them, and high heels plus jewelry. I was happy she was wearing them confidently. She started to ask to bring her friends over to my house a lot. I do not know these people. Met a few times but not introduced properly, and I was okay with that, as I know she was a bit insecure. Until it became every single week. One night, she asked to throw a quiet casual gathering at my house while I was at my boyfriend's, which I was entirely fine with. Well, what do I come back to? Beer bottles everywhere, my stuff thrown about the place, my cats scared, my clothes ripped, and multiple of my practice piercing ears ripped. There were even used tampons on the bathroom floor and vomit was everywhere. I collected my cats and briefly went to my bedroom, which thank goodness had a lock, whilst waiting for everyone to leave. Then I heard Lottie and her friend talk, and Lottie was talking about how she was grateful that her friends came to her house, and that Lottie was making £60,000 a year. She said something along the lines of, "Yes, if you ever need any designer, let me know and I'll buy you some." And that's how I found out all the designer clothes she didn't wear that I bought her were given to her friends that all have jobs. So when everyone left, I was furious. I stormed at her and shouted, "Give me my stuff back and get a freaking job. I will not be supplying for you at all. I don't want my stuff back. You're an adult and grown up enough to stop acting like I'm your mummy." She refused to give me my stuff back, so I told her if she didn't give me my stuff back, I would tell her friends about it all. So she obliged and started acting the victim by saying, "But I don't want to work." So I told her to get out, and she did, and I spent 3 hours cleaning my place. 2 weeks later, I'm still friends with her but getting calls from her begging to have some money. Everyone in my life thinks I'm an a-hole for this. Not an a-hole, but girl, if you can go to therapy, I think it will help you unpack why you let this woman ride your back for so long. I'm actually in therapy, but I had known her since I was a kid, so I had that emotional connection and trust. You had it, but unfortunately I don't think she did. Hers seems centered around what she can get from you. I'm sorry, your, hopefully ex, friend sucks. You deserve way better. Not the a-hole. She's a lifelong mooch, and not your friend. You have no responsibility for her life and financial situation. You never did. Of course, she likes the unemployed life and doesn't want to work. She's getting a free ride off the government and your hard work. I will say, you did kind of set yourself up for this by feeding into her mooching behavior since childhood. But you're both adults now. And able-bodied adults have to work whether we want to or not. That's just life. You really would be doing yourself a favor to cut her, and anyone else who doesn't see what an ungrateful leech she is, out of your life and find better friends who truly appreciate when you decide to treat them. And don't just constantly have their palms out of your money. Thank you for your feedback. I have noticed a significant difference in my money management since cutting her off financially. And the only reason I ever did give her money was because she'd always, I presume, lie about how little money she actually had. And again, lied that nobody else was willing to give her money. Then you should have given her job applications if she had little money. I tried. Update: we aren't friends anymore.